Thank you, Brad, for joining us today. Brad Bulow, an accountant by trade, but these days probably more of a business solutions provider. That's how I like to explain him. Certainly more than an accountant. I suppose, as my brother, it's been an easy solution for me to lean on Brad for a lot of advice over the years. And one year in particular I remember was 2005 when I crazily started 2 businesses at once, and I still remember some of the key advice Brad gave me back then 14 years ago that he's actually going to, I suppose, is part of the simple steps that I was fortunate enough to learn as well. So Brad is a strong community man. We both grew up in Ipswich, and Brad does an amazing things for his community through both business and sport, and he's got an amazing message he's about to share. Put your hands together for Brad.
Is it working? Thanks for that intro, Aaron. And I think Aaron would like to let everyone know that he actually sat in an exam, Queensland-wide exam, in grade 12, he comes second in the state for accounting, so he could have been a better accountant than me as well. Him and Mel are pretty much better than me at most things. But first and foremost, thanks for coming to today's presentation. I know it's the last session before lunch, so hopefully we can keep it upbeat and lively and interactive. Plenty of questions, but yeah, today I've sort of got the title created for me, Your Personal Financial Blueprint, but hopefully through the process of today I can give you some simple steps or actions to sort of help you when you're with your sort of own wealth creation and financial journey as well. As Aaron mentioned, I am an accountant and business advisor, so don't expect anything too inspiring or too motivating. I'm an accountant, I'm a bean counter, but I'll do my best to keep it uplifting and enlightening, and we'll see how we go. Just a couple of things about me. Firstly, my family, who is everything to me. It's my foundation for my success. They're my rock. My beautiful wife here, Carly, who is also a teacher, special ed teacher, and has helped me frame today's presentation, but hopefully you get some things out of it. If it was up to me doing a preso, it'd be pretty dull. It'd be all about debits and credits, but hopefully we've got something a bit more creative. I've got 3 beautiful children, Georgia in grade 3, Darcy in grade 1, and little Fletcher who's 3 now. All very different personalities, but just love getting home to them. There's, as Aaron has presented me, there's my siblings, Aaron, Mel, who's doing the interview with Benny Ike at the moment, doing a cracker of a job, and myself. The 3 of us are best friends. We bounce ideas off each other. Yes, I've probably been at times a psychologist for Aaron as opposed to an accountant, but that's what family's for. And I'm very proud of them all. They've all achieved amazing things, and I think just looking at today, all you guys here in this room, 12 speakers, different topics. I couldn't be proud of Aaron and Mel, what they've created. Our family there's a couple. Did you make the Queensland team, Aaron, in grade 7? Oh, yeah. Sport has been excellent to me. I think it's created me great discipline. It's created me structure. I've learnt patience. All these sort of, the journey of playing sport has really helped me in my business career. And yeah, our family have always played sport. It's pretty ordinary when your sister's a better cricketer than you. As you probably all know, Mel played cricket for Australia. But yeah, we even went as far as I think Christmas presents were pretty much a set of high jump sticks or a shot put. There was not too many Nintendos going around, but sport was everything, and I think it's something I still enjoy and love doing. I'm on the Turf Club board today. I've been in the Ipswich Jets Leagues Club board. Anything regarding sport and Ipswich I'm passionate about. I've got another slide here, and please click into this Facebook site. I think I've got a link there. Switch On. Basically, Switch On's a group that I set up in Ipswich. Basically, sort of got to about 30, 31 years of age. I had a lot of mates who had sort of gone through sport, stopped playing sport, probably started to have families and had the sort of the life pressures and probably didn't get to see their friends as much. So I created a group called Switch On, which sort of is all about inspire, community and mateship. Basically, as of today, we've raised about $400,000 in the community. The charter is predominantly raising awareness of men's health issues and money for men's health charities, and it's absolutely awesome that Aaron today and Mel have created an event which is all about wellbeing. And I think a big part of mental wellbeing is financial wellbeing as well. But Switch On's a group I'm passionate about, as well as, like I said, raising awareness of men's health charities. The biggest thing about it, I believe, is just the networking, the social relationships we're all building together. Okay, and yeah, a little bit about Summit Bulow. We're an accounting firm. We've just recently gone through a merger, so we've got 95 staff these days in Mackay, Brisbane and Ipswich. We are solutions providers. We started as just basic accountants who did tax returns, but these days we do wealth creation, we do risk management, we do bookkeeping, we do financial broking, we do industrial relations, and we also have a leadership and culture business as well. I think looking at the world with a wider glaze is a better way to look at your life and look at your finances, and that's what we've tried to do within our business. It's a business I'm passionate about helping people, and hopefully today we can get into showing you the recipe for financial success. And probably before I start anyway, because I want to have a few questions, because my voice will I don't think you'll get sick of it by the end of it. If you're thinking about financial success and the key ingredients to do so, what are some of the things? Have we got any sort of volunteers? Like, what things do you need to be successful financially?
Passion.
Love it. Passion is one thing. Anything more scientific than passion? That grey-haired man at the back? Also my father. The doctor of concrete. Got anything, Don? No? Anyone? Stability is good. Stability is good. Stability comes with discipline, it comes with repetition, but most definitely. Time is a good thing as well. You need to give yourself time, but also with your investments and what you do in life, you need to take time. There's no sort of short-term success or click of your fingers and overnight stuff. Some people get research. Great. That's a great thing. Like you were talking about before, time. There's nothing like in terms of short-term success. There are people out there who flip houses and make a quick buck and do well. There's people who do a bit of cryptocurrency and might do well, but that's a minor occurrence. Time and long-term views is what sort of creates long-term wealth. Let's get into it. So I've sort of created a system, I suppose. It's called RAPID, the 5 simple steps or the 5 pillars of what I believe can create financial success and financial stability. Just quickly, and I'll go into the topics and tell you a bit more about what I think they all mean, but risk, assets, planning, income and debt. They're my 5 things that I always revert to when I'm talking to clients or even my own, look at my own finances. They're the 5 pillars of financial success, I believe. There are other things that could probably creep into that list, but hey, RAPID's a pretty good word and I was happy to stick with it. So basically RAPID, I believe, is a financial recipe for success, and I think the first one is risk, which is probably the doom and gloom subject, but let's get that out of the way. Basically, there's so many versions of risk when you look at investing and you look at and you're looking at the world of money. But first and foremost, most people look at risk. It's insurance. I think most of you guys probably have Q Super policy, so you're probably covered to some extent. But when I look at insurance and risk protection, I'm looking at things like life insurance, income protection, TPD, and trauma insurances. I suppose the biggest thing is here. Anything can happen in life. You know, some of us will live a successful life and get to 80 without any issues. Some of us might not be so lucky. We live in a world of uncertainty. What insurance gives you when it comes to personal insurance is some certainty that at least something happens to me, my mortgage will get paid. My kids will still go to school. I'll still be able to live a life of at least with some sort of luxury as well. I spoke about this as well, and even when it comes to insurance, and I mentioned to you, if you have got Q Super, I suppose check your policies. Most people, if they've got insurance within their super, it might only last for 2 years. There might be a 90-day benefit period. Sometimes that's not enough, you know what I mean? So I know Q Super can offer you insurance up to 65, or you can extend it to at least 5 years and you can reduce those waiting periods, but just know what you've got. Especially if you've got $1 million worth of debt and you're the sole income earner. You're your most important asset, so make sure your insurance is up to date. And the big thing as well is we often think if we're the primary income earners in the family, I know with in Carly's instance, Carly is pretty much insured as heavily as I'm insured, because if something happens to Carly and I've got to stop work and, God forbid, look after the children full time, she's backing me here. My income will cease. The ability for me to drive an income will not be there. Hence, if something happens to Carly, whether it be a death or whether it be a long-term disablement, a lump sum of money or some sort of income, it often isn't enough. It's better than having nothing as well. So just don't think about yourself, think about your partner as well when you're talking about insurances and stuff. So don't put your head in the sand. Let's do something about it to protect your financial future, to think of your financial future. Get out of your comfort zone. It's like going to the doctor. No one loves going to the doctor, but everything's about early intervention, and so is your finances as well. So go and talk to someone, lay it all bare. This is where I am today. This is where I want to get to in 20 years, 30 years' time. Let's check it. Let's check it in. And everything in financial is risky. There's obviously, we're talking about our own risk. We're talking about there's investment risk. If you buy investment property or you invest in shares, there's the risk that the shares will, share value will go down. There's the risk that your tenant will leave the property. There's risk everywhere, but be aware of it, but just don't leave it too late. Otherwise, you're going to leave yourself, no time to catch up. And even in my job, I have a lot of people come to me, they're nearing retirement age and go, Brad, I'm worn out, I'm stuffed, I want to retire in 6 months' time. And I go, well, what have we got? Where's the super at? Have you paid your house off? And it's a sad story. They're tired, they're worn out, and when you've got to tell them you've got another 10 years to go, it's quite depressing. You know what I mean? So check it out. Don't expect miracles, but yeah, take your finances serious and take your planning serious as well. Does anyone here feel confident that they've got an adequate insurance? And there's a few hands up, a few hands down, but I recommend you guys seek, whether you're talking to QSoup or talking to a professional advisor, to sort of just get it checked out. It doesn't hurt to have a health check, and then you can, and it's one of those things you can sit and forget for quite a while, unless your circumstances change, if you get children or your marital status changes. But yeah, just check it out. Go and talk to an advisor about it. After risk, our next important thing is assets. When I think about assets and what decisions I make around assets, often what comes into play here is what risk am I willing to take and what return am I wanting to get. The class of assets is quite broad, and when you're talking about risk, at one spectrum you've got cash, the other spectrum you've got business. So if you have $300,000 to invest and you want to make 100 grand a year, you're probably not going to get it, but the only way you possibly could get it, and it's risky, is possibly a business. You can buy that fish and chip shop that makes 100 grand a year and costs you $300,000. What happens if there's another shop that opens up across the road? What happens if a key employee leaves? There's a lot of volatility with that. But you've got to know what risk you're willing to take, and I suppose the whole thing's about planning. And if you leave things too late and you've got to roll the dice, often you can lose it all. And what return am I willing to get as well? What return am I needing? If you're happy to make less than inflation, look at a savings account, look at a term deposit. If you want to do a little bit better than that and you want some liquidity in your investment, look at things like shares. Look at shares, I think over the last 30 years, and we've got a slide that'll come up soon, shares have probably produced a 4.5% income return and a 4 or 5% capital return as well. So 9% is not too bad. There is volatility. You've got to have a long-term future with shares, unless you think you're a sophisticated trader. Property again. If property, I suppose people like property because they can touch it, they can feel it, they can drive past it, but it's not a liquid, but there are some negatives of property. It's not a liquid investment. There is stamp duty, there is commission on sale, there is a risk of tenants leaving, tenants destroying your property as well, and there's also the fact that I buy a $300,000 property in Ipswich, great place to invest in actually. I might get my guaranteed $300 a week rent. You've got rates, you've got insurance, you've got other upkeep, you might be left with $7,000, $8,000 on your $300,000 investment. So that's a 2.5% income return. You make money when you buy property, it's not when you sell it. So property is good, it's a stable asset, but it's not the only thing you can invest in. So big things to do when you're looking to invest, and I think we mentioned it earlier when we were talking about it, do your research. I did have a slide, and I don't know if it's working or not. It's not working, but there's, I think it lists out in that link there. You can go and have a look at it. It lists 10 assets. We're going to talk about a lot of them today as well, but there is other assets out there like managed funds, cryptocurrency, but I suppose your stable ones are the ones that you regularly read about: property, shares, cash, businesses. They're sort of your norm. The other thing is know your risk profile. You might want a business, you might want a part-time business, but how much time you got? What family pressure you got? Do you like to play your sport? Do you like watching your kids, going to your kids' show and tell at school. If you do, well, don't start another business because it's going to suck all your energy out. And also, if you don't like risk, maybe don't invest $200,000 in one share. It's stupid anyway. But know who you are, know your risk profile, know what you can handle, and build your asset base around it. But the biggest thing is do something. Just don't leave it. Just don't leave it all to chance. Big thing, and obviously I'm going to advocate here, is speak to an advisor. Don't think you've got to be the expert about it. Don't think you guys might have more of an idea than most teachers, being in the business fraternity and obviously having an interest in business, but a lot of people don't. Don't leave it all to yourself. Don't put that pressure on yourself as well. There's always, obviously, good advice does cost money, and when you're speaking to an advisor, understand fully what the qualifications are, what the costs are, how many products they can steer you into, but don't leave it all on your own shoulders. Know what you're doing, be educated about what you're getting recommended, but I obviously do recommend you speaking to an advisor. And I suppose here, do people have an advisor, or do they leave it to themselves, or have an advisor? That's good. Like I said, do your reading, do your research, but it's like anything in life, do your due diligence, and to do your due diligence, it means seeking affirmation from someone who does it day in, day out. So I suppose my asset tips, if I suppose I'm going to sort of categorise the ones that I am most passionate about, the ones that I know most about. The stock market. As I mentioned before, I think in the last 30 years, I don't know if I can get this slide up. I think there was a Vanguard study anyway. Yeah. There was a Vanguard study, I think even in the last 30 years, shares have outperformed any other asset. That's, going through September 11 and other recessions, and shares have outperformed every other asset class in time. I think we've got a graph there that shows you that. Real estate. This is the biggest, anyone here, like if I want to buy a property, what sort of deposit do I need? Is anyone going to put their hand up?
20% of the mortgage insurance.
Correct. Correct. I feel like you could come up here and do the talk as well, mate. You sort of know your stuff. You're going well. But the biggest thing about real estate and property, and I think it's a bit of a furphy as well, is, mortgage insurance, if we can avoid it, let's avoid it. But to put your foot in the market, you can have a deposit of 5%. You're buying a $400,000 property, 5%'s 20 grand. Thanks, Aaron. Mortgage insurance might be 3 to 4% of the loan value as well, and there's obviously some stamp duties and other legals, so that might mean $40,000. Yes, I've probably paid 15 grand of costs that I'm not going to be able to claw back, but you're in the market. You're in the market and you're going. You're getting out of that rent cycle. You're starting to build you're starting on your equity journey. So that's the big thing about real estate. And when I'm talking to young professionals as well, is teachers, you've got good steady income. You might have a partner that can help as well. You'll be able to service it. It might cost us a little bit more to get into the market, but just don't leave your run too late as well. Cash, different stages in your life. I'm not saying cash is a long-term strategy that I would advocate, different to when the term deposit rates were 7.5%. These days they're 1.5%, 2%. But cash I see is that sometimes it's if you don't know, if you're in a state of flux, I've sold a property, I don't know where I want to live, or I don't know what I want my next investment to be, cash can be not a bad asset class as well in terms of the defensive asset. I know myself personally, Carly and I have our own self-managed super fund. I'm not advocating to do that. There's reasons we established one. I know even myself, I've got a stockpile, not a stockpile of cash, but I've got $80,000 or $90,000 in cash. I don't believe quite enough to do a diversified share portfolio, not enough to buy another property, so I'm sort of safeguarding myself there in terms of what my next options might be in terms of doing something with that cash. Biggest one here, what I'm most passionate about, and obviously you guys are as well, because you're in this room learning and discovering, is your career. Obviously it seems a bit probably secondhand, but you are your best asset, and with your career you're the best. I suppose you can make the decisions, you can invest in yourself, but you've got so much opportunity yourself to grow, and to learn more and to research and get a promotion and talk to people, and I think you are your best asset, so your career I always take serious in terms of categorising yourself as an asset. Your health, Something I'm very passionate about, and obviously Aaron is in terms of his investment and the subjects that obviously Binnacle have on their curriculum as well, whether it be exercise, relationships. I know myself, if I go to the gym in the morning, it doesn't look like I go too often, but every now and then I do, you feel so much better in yourself. And if you can spend that weekend, and I know at times I can't say no, and the anxiety of going into work to look after that client might mean I make the wrong decision and do that, but for me, if I miss my kid's sport or don't go to something that I know is really important, you feel like shit. And so I think your health is vitally important, and if that means you need to speak to someone about it. I've had occurrences when you just can't get shit happening, and you should be feeling better, but you're not. And I put my hand up there that I've had moments like that, as well as invest in your health, get into it and sort it out, and then you can punch on. Paying off debt. Interest rates are quite low at the moment, but if you're doing nothing else, and I think this is probably pretty much a philosophy of your previous generation, mum and dad's generation, but paying off debt's not the worst thing in the world as well. And mortgage rates are 3.5%. We're very lucky at the moment, and the average norm is 7.5%. I don't think we're used to that these days, but if anyone who's had loans for the last 30 years, that's what they've been sort of floating around. Well, you're getting a 7.5%, you're getting a 3.5% return by paying off your debt. So paying off your debt can be a great thing as well, and something I'm obviously passionate about as well. And obviously there's time at play here. And I know teachers, it's not just a 35-hour week, which is when you're in class. It's there's more and more time. You've got to invest in your studies and your classes, but your first side hustle is also a business. It can be another way of generating extra income. Just for an accountant to add a little bit of humour to the presentation, I think I've got some side hustle examples. Breaking Bad. When I asked Carly got some good side hustle ideas, she mentioned this one. You've probably seen this guy was a teacher. Yeah. He might be making tax-free income by selling drugs, but that's not a way to create a side hustle as well. That's just a bit of a joke, so don't take that to your business classes. But we've got a few local case studies. Adam Bruns, I think he's someone he's worked in a PR agency, but he's found his creative side and set up a cabaret production company. And I think he's actually making more money and build more networks out of that career than he has his core job. Chloe Gage, she's a neonatal nurse and she's actually selling quirky earrings. So sometimes it might feel something left field, but she's obviously found a craft passion, and hence she's gone to do selling quirky earrings and doing really well out of it. And probably in the theme of mental wellbeing as well. The next slide. Hunter Johnson as well, co-founder of the Man Cave, which is a not-for-profit organisation. Could be another good speaker for some time in the future, Aaron. He's got a not-for-profit, has 25 staff, and they basically run programs in terms of mental health and emotional intelligence for teachers, parents and kids as well. So, has anyone here got a side hustle or anything they'd like to declare? I'm keen to hear ideas.
I'm self-employed as a trainer for international students.
Awesome. So it's something you're obviously passionate about, and there's an affiliation and connection with your core job. Anyone else? Anyone else doing anything out of the norm, or would like to do something out of the norm?
I'm a dancer.
Dancer? Oh, we got 5 minutes to... What do you call it? What do you call it? Is it a school or that you run, or?
I have my own school. There were 5 of us in it, but now I'm the only one.
That's awesome. And how much time do you find you can have to invest in it?
A lot less now.
Yeah.
Fewer students, which is good.
Yeah. Is there anything you think, other good ideas you got around? I think I've got some cookies here that I'd love to give away. And this is when you're talking about side hustle, so we've got a couple of staff, and at the end of the day, I think we live in a bit of a different world, and I know sometimes with some of the staff that we pay, especially in the admin department, they need to earn extra income to sort of complement the wage. But this is Tegan from our work makes cookies. We've got a staff member who does embroidery. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome to have other interests and other passions, and I think the big thing about business is you get to meet new people, you get to learn different skills, and as long as you've got something unique, you've got a plan, you've got a good product, there's no reason you can't make it succeed. I think I've got some links here as well, which which may not work, but I think some other ideas in terms of businesses as well. I think if you go to those links, the popular ones are obviously Airbnb, coaching. Oh, you got one there? So we've got some here, Airbnb. You might get some inspiration. A lot of these are basically businesses that you can set up with limited capital, which is always good. Driving, delivery services, freelancing, gig economy, photography, renting out your car. We don't need to go through them all, but there's so many different ideas out there. And as long as you're doing something different and something unique, I think you, as teachers, have such a great platform to have a little side hustle. And there's a sneaky business card there as well, guys. So any questions after the presentation, feel free to throw them out, throw them my way. The middle letter is P for planning. As I mentioned before, don't leave it too late. If you've got goals and you want to retire with $100,000 worth of income, by the time you're 60, start looking at that now. It just doesn't happen overnight. So be honest about yourself, know where you are today, and the biggest thing is you're not going to do it all overnight. You're going to have to set yourself some goals, whether they're short-term ones, medium-term ones, long-term ones. Just to break it up a little bit, talk to your next-door neighbour and we'll have a chat about it. Just think of some short-term goals, something you could do now or change in your life to make your financial future better. Yeah. Is it going okay? Or? Sure. It's still pretty dry subject matter. Yeah, it's all right.
So you got the cookies ready?
Teagues, yeah.
Because Effie Zahos was, it's not what you earn, it's
Yeah.
what you spend.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, do you want to vote it?
If we just share that one, mate?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, jump up, Coat. Yeah. Yeah, go for it.
So guys, Kobe and I were just chatting and it reminded me of, it was Effie Zahos, our keynote speaker 2 years ago. Amazing that. 3 years ago, maybe. 2. Yeah, Kobe and I were talking, we still got Effie's little quote, it's not what you earn, it's what you spend. Such a good quote, such a powerful quote. Fair to say, Brad, that's probably something that should be at the forefront?
Oh, most definitely. And look, a lot of this is just keeping it basic as well. Like I said, 1 to 3 years, you're not going to change things overnight, but there's some simple things you can do. Do we have Koshi's video? Yeah. We've got a little video here. I've got a couple videos here, Paul Clitheroe and Dave Kosh. They're, I suppose, the money men in Australia, but their messages are quite simple. So yeah, don't think you've got to be bold and extravagant about what your plans are. They can be quite simple, some of these messages. Koshi's been pretty quiet here, but listen to him, Google him. He's a good man to listen to, but we'll go to the next slide. Some simple things that you can do is pay off or piss off those credit cards. Have one that you might need to book a holiday or to, every now and then you've got to pull it out for some reason to pay something. Create that discipline, whether it be your 16-year-old child earning $100 a week trolley pushing like Aaron used to, or put aside some money, start that discipline, put aside that 10%. your pay, or and just do something. It's all about discipline. It's all about practice. It's all about getting something moving. And I suppose if you're starting a savings plan, just don't let the money sit in a transactional account. Interest rates are poor at the moment when you're looking at savings accounts or interest-bearing accounts, 1.5%, 2%, but it's better than nothing. Once again, once they jump to 5%, 6%, you'll sort of notice a difference. And visit your advisor. Even at 1 to 3 years, the advisor, I'm not saying this is reckless advice, but whether you talk to an accountant or talk to someone you just respect, get a mentor, someone who you know has achieved things in life. You might not need a plan if you're 22, 23 and you're floating through life and travelling and stuff, but just talk to people, read books, listen to YouTubes, find someone you can talk to. Obviously, I'll put accountant there because, I reckon I could do that, but talk to someone you can trust. Just get it going, get it moving. So everyone's at different stages of their investment journey, financial journey, but obviously some medium-term goals could be starting that side hustle, that part-time business, talking to an accountant, get a business plan. Let's weigh it up. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it going to work? Start saving for that home deposit, or even beginning an equity portfolio. Like I said, I'm talking a lot about property here, but some people like to be transient and like to move and explore life. You can tie up a lot of capital in a property as well. And as I said to you before, and the studies show that you can also possibly produce a better return if you invest in a share portfolio, the right share portfolio as well. So that's something not to neglect also. And some long-term goals might be buying that house or buying that investment property. Playing around with your super calculator. Look, you can talk to a financial advisor there, but this super calculator here on the Money Smart's quite cool, quite nifty. You can play around with how old am I today, what sort of average return do I expect my super to make, and there we go there. Just play around with some examples, learn about it, understand where you are today and what you need to do to get to where you might want to be when you're 55, 60. Other things, like you can, in terms of gearing strategies, and we'll get into debt and gearing a little bit later, but you can borrow to invest in other assets as well, whether they be, I said that, whether they be share portfolios or businesses or even your own education. And that's what we mentioned there underneath. I'm a big believer, as I said, in investing in yourself, and if anyone who wants to invest and borrow money, I'm not saying borrow money to buy a boat or go on an overseas holiday, but if it means doing your MBA or doing a course or whatever it is, look, it might be money it might be an investment that might take you nowhere if you don't follow it through, but I think life's about learning. So if you're borrowing to invest in your education, I'm not too doom and gloom about that. So now coming to income, obviously without income, we can't do a lot of these things. When I start thinking about what things that you can do or other ways that we can complement our pay, the things that come to mind are your business income, the dividend income you might make in your share portfolio, the rent that you might make on your investment properties, investments that you might make in other businesses, whether it be with a family member or a friend, or once again, that's something I've put on the slide, but be careful and be wary about. Online trading. I don't recommend investing in a piece of share. What I mean by that is I don't mean investing in some share software or money software and call yourself a trader and do the derivatives or overnight. Online trading could be doing some stuff on eBay or Amazon, or it can be anything. And negotiate that raise and promotion. I don't know what headmasters and stuff are like these days, but back yourself. You're nothing without asking a question. And that probably, in terms of in my career, and obviously my career's been more in private enterprise, I don't think I ever got a pay rise without going to the boss and knocking on the door. These days I'm a lot more giving being an employer, but it's you've got to ask the question, and if you're backing yourself for promotion, right in that application. All that stuff, if you go from 100 grand a year to 110 grand a year and you do that over 20 or 30 years, can make a difference to your financial future. Next slide's pretty important, and it's often something we neglect and don't think about. And the Bulow family, we probably neglected a little bit as well. But some easy ways to save some money. Check your insurances. What contents insurance have we got at the moment, Carly? We don't know, but just check your insurance policies. And all these markets are so competitive these days. There's so many different private health funders. There's so many different house insurance funders. It's just check it. Little savings. They all count. TV subscriptions. I don't know how many TV subscriptions we've got these days. There's direct debits hitting my bank account every minute of the day. Stan, Netflix, Foxtel. I know Foxtel was the crave 6 or 7 years ago, but I think except for watching Benny Ikin's NRL 360, I'm probably not using Foxtel anymore. So probably look at your subscriptions. And maybe I don't need movies, I don't need Discovery. Just get the sport. Negotiate with negotiate with these types of people. Gym memberships. I think I've spent about $1,000 for every gym visit I've made over the last 3 years. Every January, I join Good Life and I go for 3 trips, and it's too bloody hard to get out of it. So I'm a poor example there in terms of gym memberships, but yeah, if you're not using it, cut it. Get up for a walk, do something else. Watch some of Aaron's videos on, phone and internet plans. I think years gone by, we've had different bundles for internet, for phone, for Wi-Fi. Box it all together and, check out the competition, check out where you can save money there. Bank fees and interest. If you've got that idle account, which is just having $10 a month, hitting it, get rid of it. If you're paying 6% on your home loan, change it, talk to the broker, pay 3.5% or pay 3.1%. I think you can get these days. And power, it's a huge expense. It's a ridiculous expense, especially in summer in Ipswich or Brisbane or wherever you're living when you've got kids and things are on everywhere. Power is a ridiculous expense. So look at things like solar or look at what the other competition is producing. Anything else? That's not everything, guys. Where else can we save money? What other expenses are there? Going out? Travelling? Yeah. Buying lunch every day, clothes. Sounds like someone's just seen their financial coach sitting here. All those things. Although I suppose as an accountant, you can often just all be about money and stuff. I'm a big believer of live a bit for today, but save a bit for tomorrow as well. It's about finding that balance. But if you are travelling somewhere, maybe and you do want to do that trip, maybe you can be a bit smart about the accommodation or the airline you travel with, or maybe the company you take. Don't take an alcoholic away with you, because you might spend more than you otherwise want to. The last letter of 3 minutes left. The last letter is D for debt. What we're talking about here is debt can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. If you leverage it right and use it right, if you've got a house paid off and it's worth $500,000 and you've got a good steady income, you can use it to your benefit, whether it be investing in some of the assets that we've mentioned before. So debt can be good, debt can be bad. Good debt is when you've got debt and you're investing in appreciating assets. Bad debt is debt that you just got and you're using it to buy personal use items or to pay off previous debts. So avoid things like, I said, credit cards, personal car loans. Yeah, we do need a car, but just check the interest rate, check who the financier is, payday loans, all those luxury items that you don't really need. Feel good at the time, but you sort of, you get sick of them and you get bored of them. So debt, good debt, bad debt. Try to avoid that bad debt. We might step Paul Clitheroe's money tips, but he's got some good stuff. Jump online, check out some of his stuff. He's been Mr. Money in Australia for the last 30 years. His messages here are pretty simple. Don't buy it if you can't afford it. Simple.
Do you want us to do it? Or
No, we're just...
fine, that's all.
But anyway, the messages of these guys, and like I said, it's do something. Do your research, do your due diligence, buy wisely. Like I said, if you want to buy something, engage the list of property, talk to the local real estate agents. Go, I want to buy a $400,000 house, get their feedback, get them looking for you. But first and foremost, if you're buying a property, know what regions have got good rental yields and what have got bad rental yields. I've got a few examples here, guys, but I think we're running out of time, but I've got a few little case studies you can maybe have a look at and sort of get the feel and the vibe for where I was going with a lot of this sort of stuff as well. But obviously, depending on your stage of life, the advice is often different. It's not one size fits all. The younger you are, if I was speaking to someone, this is not solicited financial advice, I'd be trying to urge them to get into a property. If they've got some spare time, use it wisely to either invest in themselves or to get a part-time job. And got a couple of things there. But the common theme is here, get good financial advice, do your research, invest in good assets. We'll skip a few of these. Judy's, these are some of Carly's fine work, Judy's judgment. And I might skip to the last page because I think we're running out of time. But I think the biggest thing out of this is, the message today is set goals and be clear about them. Understand what you need, but understand what you want as well. Have a plan. Diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't, like I said, if that means a share portfolio, you want to buy 10 properties, don't buy all the properties in one street, or don't buy one share worth $200,000, buy 20. Spread your risk. Avoid risky investments. The stuff that sounds good, the latest craze. You know? Like I said, just be careful. You know? Avoid those Nigerian schemes. Review periodically, but not religiously. If you've got a share portfolio, don't look at it every 5 minutes. Don't update your refresh button on the internet. You'll go crazy. You'll go nuts. You've got to think with a long-term focus. And engage specialists. But like I said to you before, know who to trust. Check their qualifications. Check their years of experience. If you're looking to invest money with them, ask them how much they hold in management in terms of funds, and know what their fee structure is as well. But don't put all the pressure on your own shoulders. That's really it, guys. I would have loved to have time to ask you if you had any questions or whatever else, but like I say this, everyone who came in today, flick me an email or whatever, and I'm happy to help you with some advice or just any feedback on what I might have said today. But thanks for the opportunity, Aaron, to talk to all you guys. Thanks for sitting here patiently. I know you're probably all hungry and probably over talks on business and finances, but yeah, hopefully you took something out of today. Thanks, buddy.
Guys, obviously, yeah, that rapid, when Brad shared the rapid framework, it was something that stuck. So, yeah, hopefully you got some great little insights there, and no doubt stuff that could take back to the classroom as well. Thank you so much, Brad. Brad will be here for any personal questions that you might have, and obviously we're leading into lunch. So let's enjoy lunch. We will be heading back over towards C Block, so just upstairs at the restaurant area. Go and say good day to an exhibitor if you can. And remember, guys, we've got a special announcement at 2:30. We'll be bringing you down to the main auditorium just about 10 minutes before that to try and be ready for that big announcement. Okay, thank you. Enjoy lunch, and thank you, Brad.